The story begins with Teddy Daniels, a U.S. Marshal and World War II veteran, assigned to investigate the disappearance of Rachel Solando, a patient at Ashcliff Hospital on Shutter Island. Joining him is his new partner Chuck, recently transferred from the U.S. Marshals in Seattle. Chuck's friendly demeanor quickly forms a bond with Teddy as they journey to the isolated island. Teddy explains their mission to Chuck. Ashcliff is a federal facility for the criminally insane, housing unstable patients who are dangerous. To complicate matters, a tropical storm is approaching, set to hit the island shortly after their arrival, trapping them there for 4 days. Upon reaching Ashcliff, Deputy McPherson, the head of security, disarms them and escorts them to Dr. Cawley's office, the hospital's chief doctor, to begin their investigation. Dr. John Corley explains that the night before Rachel Solando escaped from her room and is now missing. Teddy and Chuck interview the staff but find little about Rachel's whereabouts, except for a coded message she left in her cell, which they call the Law of Four. Teddy becomes more suspicious upon learning that Rachel's doctor, Dr. Sheehan, has been removed from the case. His suspicions deepen when he meets Dr. Nying, a German associate of Dr. Sheehan. That night, Teddy has haunting dreams about his wife, Dolores Chanel, who died in a fire 2 years earlier, a trauma he avoids confronting. In the dream, Dolores hints that Rachel is still on the island. Teddy deciphers Rachel's code, revealing another missing patient, patient 67. The next day, suspecting Rachel had help escaping, the marshals interview patients from Rachel's therapy group. Most are unhelpful except for Bridget, who cryptically writes "run" on Teddy's notepad. Afterward, Chuck questions Teddy about his focus on a man named Andrew Lias. Teddy admits that Lias, a mentally ill arsonist responsible for the fire that killed Dolores, is believed to be at Ashcliff despite no official records. Chuck suggests they check the graveyard for any trace of him. On their way to the cemetery, Teddy and Chuck stumble upon another clue left by Rachel. Rocks arranged in distinct piles, which Teddy records in his notebook as a numerical code. As the weather worsens, they seek shelter in the morgue. There, Teddy reveals his true mission to Chuck, investigating allegations of inhumane experiments at Ashcliff, brought to his attention by inmate George Noy. Teddy was sent by a U.S. senator to uncover any wrongdoing. Despite Chuck's concerns that they're being set up by Corley and other Ashcliff staff, Teddy reassures him and vows they'll leave the island. Upon their return from the graveyard, Teddy and Chuck are surprised to find Rachel Solando has mysteriously reappeared. During their interview, Rachel mistakes Teddy for her husband Jim at first, briefly drawing him into her delusion. However, she soon recognizes him as a stranger and attacks him, triggering one of Teddy's migraines. Dr. Cawley provides Teddy with pills to ease his pain, and despite his hesitation, Teddy takes them. That night, he suffers from harrowing nightmares featuring 3 deceased children and a scarred man he believes to be Andrew Lias. In his dreams, Dolores urges him to find Lias. The combined stress of sleep deprivation and anxiety begins to wear on Teddy. With the storm past but leaving significant damage, Teddy and Chuck decide to take advantage of the situation and explore Ward C, where the most dangerous patients are housed. Teddy and Chuck split up. Teddy sets out to find Lias, while Chuck aims to locate patient files. To Teddy's surprise, he encounters George Noy, who warns him that everything at Ashcliff is an elaborate deception orchestrated by Dr. Cawley. Noy also reveals that Chuck works for Ashcliff and that Lias is held in the lighthouse, where lobotomies are performed. Determined to uncover the truth, Teddy and Chuck decide to investigate the lighthouse, identified by Noy as the surgical ward. En route, Teddy descends a cliff to decipher another of Rachel's codes, only to return and find Chuck missing. Night has fallen, prompting Teddy to seek refuge in a cave. In the cave, Teddy encounters the real Rachel Solando, a former Ashcliff doctor who fled after discovering the hospital's illicit experiments. Rachel informs Teddy that he has been drugged, listing symptoms he's already experiencing. After their conversation, Teddy climbs back up to the main road the next morning and is escorted back to Ashcliff by a warden. There, he is reprimanded by Corley for doubting their methods. Dr. Cawley informs Teddy that he arrived on Shutter Island alone. Teddy pretends to go along with Cawley's story, but plans to escape during the night and catch the morning ferry to the mainland. However, Cawley and the warden figure out his plan. Panicking, Teddy tries to reach the ferry, but is intercepted by Noy. Teddy attacks and sedates Noy when Noy suggests that Teddy is a monster suffering from a delusion. Teddy hijacks one of the facility's cars, but decides to go to the lighthouse to save Chuck, despite the ghost of Dolores urging him otherwise. At the lighthouse, Teddy finds Cawley waiting for him. Cawley reveals that Teddy is actually Andrew Laeta, Ashcliff's 67th patient. He presents a convincing case and introduces Dr. Lester Sheehan, who has been pretending to be Chuck the whole time. Cawley explains that Dolores, who is mentally ill, killed their 3 children, Henry, Simon, and Rachel. He reveals that Andrew Laeta and Teddy Daniels are anagrams, as are Rachel Solando and Dolores Chanel. Teddy is horrified to learn that the past 2 days have been an elaborate roleplay designed for his therapy, with everyone, including his psychiatrist, Dr. Sheehan, participating. Cawley and Sheehan express hope that this radical roleplay might help rehabilitate Teddy. Teddy, determined to avoid the recommended lobotomy, which became necessary after he attacked George Noy for calling him Laeta, faces more revelations from Dr. Cawley. Cawley explains that Teddy is trapped in a delusion where he believes he is a U.S. Marshal investigating a disappearance, a fantasy meant to protect him from confronting his own traumatic past. Hearing this, Teddy suddenly recalls his past life as Andrew Laeta. He vividly remembers coming home one day to find his wife, Dolores, had drowned their 3 children in a lake. Overwhelmed, he exclaims, "Oh my God!" The next morning, Teddy acknowledges his traumatic memories, but Dr. Cawley warns that while Teddy has had breakthroughs before, he has always regressed. In a conversation with Dr. Sheehan, Chuck, Cawley's suspicions are confirmed as Teddy reverts to his U.S. Marshal persona. Teddy asks Chuck if it is better to live as a monster or die as a good man, then walks toward the lighthouse with Cawley and the others. That's the end of this video. See you in another one.